What up, everyone? So we've got another comic box here, and this one is called Blindbox. This is from Blindbox Comics, which is a comic distributor, and this is basically comics from them, specifically from their company. So let's take a look in here and see what we got. This will be, I think, the third box this month. That's strictly comic books, so we'll be able to put these all head to head and see which one is the best. If I can open it. Damn. Oh, here we go. Oh, there's a pull tab. My bad. Oh, okay. This comes with some nice little wrapping. That's actually kind of cool. Comes in a nice little envelope here. And I'm guessing this is the information card, which all this stuff is. Cool. And then this looks like a variant, Blindbox variant. So it looks like we got an exclusive there right off the bat. Cool. So let's open this envelope and see what issues we got here. Oh, quite a few. Wow. Quite a big stack of comics here. Alrighty, so first, this one looks like Turncoat. And this is from Boom Studios. Haven't heard of it. Seems like a new series. Has a cool cover. Not much more to say about it until I read about it. There we go. Next. Oh, looks like we got a signed comic. This looks like Hero Hourly. And you can see right there, it has a certificate of authenticity from the artist who signed it. And let's see who it is. James Patrick. That's really cool. So cool. I'm glad that they are giving signed issues. That always makes them very special. And a certificate of authenticity. So one we just saw, actually, The Discipline. This came in our box that we just did, Comic Boxer. Which is weird considering it came in 2 different comic boxes this month, yet there's not a single one on sale on like eBay or anything like that. I couldn't find any of them. So that's weird. It still seems like a cool series. I read up a little bit about it. Seems interesting. I like the cover art. It looks pretty cool. So, alrighty. There that is. Looks like we got a Marvel comic, Hyperion #1. So, Marvel I definitely recognize. This character, not so much. But it's #1, and yeah, there we go. And then we got Power Man and Iron Fist. So this looks like the Heroes for Hire, or that's supposedly what they're supposed to be. It's not called that, it's just called Power Man and Iron Fist. But that's cool. I like Iron Fist. That's really awesome. And this is a #2, not a #1. But, you know, that works as well. Alright, so just some issues in here. We got one signed one. That's cool so far, so good. Let's take a look at what we got for our variant. Alrighty. And this one, it looks like we got Star Wars Darth Vader #1, Variant Edition. I feel like I've seen this one before. Maybe this came in another box from somewhere. But anyway, oh, that is cool. Okay. No, I haven't seen this one. This is actually, it's going to be hard to tell by the camera, but the design on there is actually cut out. So the cover is this white part here, and the first page is back here. So it actually looks like it's cut out. And it actually looks like it's cut out by hand because I can see the pencil marks on there. So yeah, this doesn't look like it was stamped out. It literally looks like it was cut out by hand, which I'm interested to read about and hear what the story is behind it. Did it come with a description? In here somewhere. Yeah, here it is. So yeah, I'll have to read up on that and see what the story is behind it because I can definitely tell this was done by hand, which is very interesting. I'm very curious about that. Cool. Alright, so pretty simple, short and sweet. We got a bunch of comic books, so not much to talk about as of yet, but I'll do my little research, and then we'll come back and talk about some value and give this box a rating. See you soon. Alright, we are back. Let's talk about some value on this box. So most of the issues in here were very common. Nothing really special about them, nothing rare about them. Just issues that they found interesting. And something I do really like is they give a description paper here, and they actually go into their thoughts about each individual comic and why they chose that, which I do appreciate. One Box did that before with comics, and I really like that. I really like to know why they chose a certain issue, what they thought about it, just based solely on the fact that they are putting thought into it. They're not just like grabbing random issues and throwing them at people. They are actually fans of these comics. They are actually people that read these comics, and they do think that other people would like them. So I like to know that there is thought put into them before I just go reading a bunch of random issues, because I honestly just don't have time for that. I don't have time to read a bunch of random crap. So I like to know that someone else has read it before, and they do know what they're talking about. So, that being said, starting off with the first one, Turncoat. From Boom Studios. It's not very well known at all, so the value on this is only going to be about $5 or $6, unfortunately. So really not much more than you would have paid for it if you had bought it in a comic shop. Then, The Discipline, which we have seen before. I did a little more research, and I did actually find a more accurate value. Before, I was valuing it at 8, but I found out this is going to be more like 5 or 6 because I did find some people selling it. I had to change the way I typed it in to search for it, but I did actually find it. It was a little harder to find than I would have liked, but either way, 5 or 6 on that. Then Hyperion. Marvel Comics, but again, a lesser-known character. Same story, $5 or $6. So that's kind of what happens when you get the lesser-known comics that also aren't variants or anything like that. So yeah, it is what it is. Then, Power Man and Iron Fist. So this was in here to replace Samurai #1, which they said they originally were going to put in here, but there was a delay on that, so they had to switch it out last minute for this one, which is fine. No, I don't know Samurai at all, so I can't say I'm disappointed about that. But anyway, on this one, only about $4 or $5. This one's pretty common as well. And it's also a #2, not a #1, so it gets a little bit less. Then, our Hero Hourly. The comic itself only gets about 6 or 7, and I got a signed one, but I found out that I don't think everyone did get a signed one. So I think you have the option of getting a signed one, that there's incentives in certain boxes, because I was looking it up online and I could not find anyone selling this or anyone else that got a signed one. I could be wrong, maybe they put it in every box, but I couldn't find any information leading to that. And also, they didn't say anything about it on their description paper, and I can't imagine why they wouldn't, because it's kind of a big deal. So I can only assume from that not everyone got a signed version. Don't get me wrong, I'm very happy that I did, but unfortunately I can't put that into the value because I have to value these boxes based on what everyone gets. I can't value it based on what some lucky people get, because then that's not accurate. I have to base it off of what the majority of the people get. The majority of the people just got the regular comic, so it would only be $6 or $7. But, you know, on the other side, the person who autographed it, James Patrick, isn't super well known. He's not very well known enough to have added very much value anyway. It's still cool to get something signed and to get a certificate of authenticity, but even if everyone got it, it wouldn't have increased the value much, probably like $5 or $6 or something like that. Not a big deal, but it's still cool to have nonetheless. Then, the last part of it. So this is a variant, and I did find out that this was hand done. I was right on that, and it's very obvious that it is, and it looks really cool. And I almost want to say that this cover is made to do that because the blank variant on top is just pressed over the regular #1 issue. It's not the front page. There's actually a #1 issue underneath that. So it almost seems like they do that on purpose just to have people cut it out. But anyway, he did a very good job, and it looks very cool. And this is from Jason Adams, I believe. I think it said on there. So yeah, Jason Adams is actually known for his artwork on Bravest Warrior. So Jason Adams is actually a well-established artist, and he is actually very well known for his artwork. So it's really cool that he actually hand did all these things. And I'm sure it was a pain in the ass because he cut this out. So some people got actual painted ones, like hand-painted or spray-painted or whatever it was, and some people got the ones that were cut out, which is really cool. Now here's where it's a little bit conflicting, and here's where it's kind of a mistake on the portion of the Blindbox company. So, Jason Adams' artwork actually goes for a decent amount. His little paintings, he does sketch cards and stuff like that, they go for at least like $30 because he hand does them, and he's a well-established artist, which is cool. Now, this issue itself, just the blank variant with no artwork, goes for like $8 or $9. The only bad news about this is there's actually no way of showing that this was done by Jason Adams. So, and I'm not saying I don't believe this company. If they say it was done by him, I totally believe them and I trust that it was. Speaking from a resale market, if I was going to resell this, I wouldn't be able to sell it as that because there's no way for me to prove that this was done by Jason Adams because he actually did not sign it. And I don't know if this was just for me, that maybe he forgot this one time, or he didn't do that at all, but if he doesn't sign it, there's no way to know who did that. If you got a one that was painted, it's easier to do so. Even if he didn't sign it, it's more obvious that it's his artwork because it has his style to it. But because this is just a cutout right here, there's really no way to prove that because you can't really tell by the way someone cuts a piece of paper that it's that specific artist. So because he didn't sign it, there's no way to prove that. And there's also no certificate of authenticity, which is weird because they took the time to put one in for the Hero Hourly, they did for that signature, but for some reason they avoided a signature and avoided a certificate of authenticity for this book, which I think was a real mistake on their part, because like I said, that completely hurts the value. Now all you have to show for this is their word. And again, I totally would trust them. I can't imagine them lying about it by any means, but there's nothing to say that it was done by that specific artist. So I think that was just something they kind of overlooked, trying to get all this stuff out every month, which is, I understand, mistakes happen, but I think that was a big mistake on their part, because this is their main selling point. This is the most valuable thing in the box, and this is really carries the box. But without that notoriety there, without a way to prove that it's from that person, it doesn't hold any value, unfortunately. So, all that being said, long explanation. There's going to be a big range in value here. On the low end, it's going to be about $9, because that's what the comic book costs with no artwork. On the high end, if there was a way to prove it, it would be at least $30, because that's on the cheap end, that's what most of his artwork goes for. I can't say the same for this actual cutout, if that would go for that, but his normal, just like colored artwork cards go for at least $30. So the range on that's going to be from $9 to $30, because I do trust that, I trust this company and trust that it was from that guy, but again, it hurts. I have no way to resell it because there's no proof for that. So it's hard to say, and you'll have to kind of give your own personal thoughts on it to whether or not you would still like that. So it basically would depend on if you're keeping it or not. If you're keeping it, it doesn't matter. You have the word from this company. If you're selling it, you kind of can't, because they didn't put a picture of the specific artwork on there, so there's no way to prove that, unfortunately. So that being said, on the low end, the value is $34. On the high end, with that artwork in consideration, it's $60. So it pretty much doubles it. Like I said, this book carries the box, and it was a real big oversight to not get signed authentication there. So that's just kind of their bad. Anyway, this box is actually somewhat expensive. This costs $27.99 for the box, which is expensive for a comic box. Then you have $5 shipping on top of that. Then you have tax on top of that. That also depends on where you're residing, what your state tax is, but all said and done, that brings the value up to almost $35 for this comic box, which is very expensive. That's one of the more expensive boxes out there. So $35 is a lot. Now, on the low end, you only got $34, so you didn't even get what you paid for. But on the high end, you got $60, and you got closer to double what you paid for it. So I am going to give this company the benefit of the doubt and trust that this is the right artwork and everything like that. So I am going to lean more towards the higher value, but not fully towards that, because there's no resale market on this, because like I said, no proof. So that being said, I'm going to give this box a 6.5 based on the reasons I gave for the artwork. I hope that this is something they often do. I hope that each box comes with some kind of artwork, because this was the main selling point. Other than that, it was just some issues that had no value. It's just for reading's sake. So all the value is in this specific piece of artwork. So I hope they do things like that often. And I hope in the future they do take the time to put a certificate or something in there. If they can't get the artist to sign it, if he's too busy, then put a certificate in there. Something that says and proves that it's from who they say it's from, other than their word. Because that is a big deal. That does make a difference in resale value, I know from experience. So, like I said, 6.5 on the box. If they could had a certificate, it would have been much higher, because it would have been more like double the value. But it's kind of hard to judge this company and any company based on one box, so I might have to check them out again and see what they do in the future. But other than that, you know, it served its purpose. We had some variants in here. I like their presentation. You got a lot of issues here, so you got some stuff to read. So that's all good stuff. Anyway, this has been Blindbox. I hope you enjoyed. 6.5 in the box. Let me know what you guys thought. Talk to you in the next video. Love you all. Peace.